Have you ever wondered if people genuinely care about you? Do you feel that those around you are deeply invested in your existence? Here's the reality check. Most people don't give a second thought to others, including you. This might sound harsh, even negative, but this realization can be incredibly freeing and transformative. Once I understood that nobody truly cares about me, my life changed for the better. Let's dive into how this mindset shift can empower you to live freely and authentically. Step 1. The harsh truth. Does anyone really care? As adults, we often find ourselves asking, does anyone really care about me? It's a tough question, and the truth can be hard to accept. Unlike childhood, when we were at the center of someone's world, our parents, caregivers, or teachers, the world around us as adults has changed. People are more focused on themselves, their careers, and their personal struggles. In this fast-paced digital age, attention spans are shorter than ever, and nearly everyone is wrapped up in their own day-to-day concerns. So, while a few close family members or lifelong friends might truly miss us if we were gone, most people probably wouldn't think twice. This might sound harsh, but recognizing this reality can actually be incredibly freeing. Once you understand that you're not under the microscope of others' constant judgment, you can break free from the illusion that everyone cares about your every move. You're free to focus on your own goals, your own happiness, and what truly matters to you. Instead of seeking universal approval, you can live authentically, without fear of what others think. This realization opens up a new way of living, one where you can prioritize your own growth and be true to yourself. Step 2. Understanding why we think people care. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek approval and validation. As children, we're praised for our achievements, showered with attention, and often rewarded for good behavior. This early reinforcement builds an expectation in us that others will always care and notice our actions. Society subtly feeds this mindset as we grow, encouraging us to seek validation in various ways. Whether through grades, social status, or online popularity. As a result, many of us carry this need for approval into adulthood, believing that others care more about us than they actually do. But as we grow older, the reality shifts. People's focus narrows to their own lives, goals, and challenges. They stop paying as much attention to us unless there's a reason to, maybe because we're in their close circle or offer something meaningful to them. This can be a difficult realization, but understanding it is powerful. It frees us from constantly chasing others' approval and allows us to prioritize our own growth and self-worth. Recognizing that people may not care as much as we thought is not a failure. It's an invitation to stop relying on external validation and start building confidence from within. Step 3. The reality check moment. There comes a point when the weight of seeking approval becomes too heavy to bear. I remember reaching that moment myself. I was constantly worried about how others saw me, meticulously trying to meet invisible expectations and stressing over validation that seemed out of reach. One day, it hit me like a wave. Most people are simply too busy with their own lives to focus on mine. They have their own struggles, their own dreams, and their own insecurities, just like me. That realization was a profound moment of clarity. It felt as if a huge burden had been lifted, and for the first time, I could see myself without the filter of others' opinions. I was free to be my authentic self, no longer controlled by an invisible audience. This reality check moment was empowering. It allowed me to focus on what genuinely mattered to me, rather than what I thought others wanted from me. I could finally let go of the constant worry about others' judgments and start living on my own terms. This shift in perspective wasn't just liberating, it was life-changing. Step 4. How realizing nobody truly cares can be liberating. Coming to terms with the fact that nobody genuinely cares as much as we might think can be one of the most freeing experiences. At first, it might feel a bit isolating or even disappointing, but when I finally accepted this truth, I felt an incredible sense of relief. The weight of social pressure lifted, and for the first time, I could focus fully on my own growth, my goals, and my happiness without the constant worry of how others perceived me. This realization wasn't about dismissing the value of meaningful relationships. Rather, it was about understanding that most people are simply wrapped up in their own lives, with everyone navigating their own challenges and aspirations. We are all largely preoccupied with ourselves. Knowing this allowed me to take risks, try new things, and make decisions that aligned with my true self, without second guessing if I'd be judged or criticized. Accepting that nobody genuinely cares in the way I had once believed set me free to be authentic. It gave me the space to prioritize my own well-being and happiness, embracing a life that was truly my own. Step 5. Living authentically, without fear of judgment. Fear of judgment holds so many of us back. We worry about being seen as cringe or out of place, and as a result, we suppress parts of ourselves to fit into society's mold. But here's a surprising truth. Most people's judgments are fleeting. They might notice us for a moment, form an opinion, and then move on, quickly distracted by their own lives and concerns. Realizing this allowed me to let go of the constant anxiety about others' opinions and instead focus on embracing my authentic self. When I finally stopped caring about how I was perceived, I felt a newfound freedom. No longer bound by the need to conform, I could make choices based on my own values, interests, and aspirations. Living authentically meant that I could fully explore who I was, without worrying if others approved. And ironically, as I embraced my true self, I felt more comfortable and confident in social situations. By letting go of the fear of judgment, I unlocked the courage to live a life that felt meaningful and aligned with who I truly am. This shift was more than liberating. It was transformational, offering a sense of peace and genuine happiness I hadn't known before. Step 6. Embracing independence and self-sufficiency. Realizing that no one else is responsible for my happiness or success was a turning point. It's easy to grow up expecting others, family, friends, or society, to provide direction, support, or validation. But the truth is, relying on external sources for fulfillment only holds us back. When I fully embraced the idea that my well-being rested in my own hands, I began to feel empowered. No longer was I waiting for validation or encouragement. Instead, I was motivated to create a life grounded in self-sufficiency and independence. Focusing on my own abilities allowed me to build a foundation based on my personal strengths and values. I began to set my own goals, take responsibility for my actions, and make decisions that aligned with my vision for the future. Embracing independence meant that I wasn't seeking approval, but rather creating a life that felt meaningful to me. This shift helped me develop resilience and confidence, knowing that I could handle challenges on my own terms. Self-sufficiency isn't about isolating oneself. It's about cultivating the skills, mindset, and determination needed to thrive independently. The journey toward independence has been empowering, giving me control over my happiness and success. Step 7. Focusing on your own happiness. Understanding that I am ultimately responsible for my own happiness was a revelation that changed everything. For so long, I had been subconsciously waiting for external sources, other people's validation, society's standards, to give me a sense of fulfillment. But once I embraced the truth that my happiness was in my own hands, I felt a new sense of freedom and motivation. This realization allowed me to invest deeply in self-care, focusing on what genuinely brought me joy and satisfaction. When you're no longer concerned with others' opinions, you have the space to prioritize yourself fully. I began to make choices that nourished me, whether it was setting aside time for hobbies, focusing on health and fitness, or setting boundaries that protected my peace. This shift wasn't about being selfish. It was about creating a life where I could thrive and feel grounded. Prioritizing my own happiness allowed me to become more present, appreciative, and fulfilled in my day-to-day life. It's a continuous journey, but knowing that my happiness is under my control has been empowering, providing a solid foundation on which to build a life that feels authentic and joyful. Step 8. Setting personal goals without validation. One of the most freeing parts of letting go of others' expectations was discovering that I could set goals just for myself. Without the need to impress or seek validation, I found myself pursuing goals that were meaningful to me on a deeper level, no longer driven by what others might think or the approval of society. I could focus on my true interests, passions, and aspirations, things that brought me genuine happiness. This approach to goal setting allowed me to dig deeper into what I really wanted out of life. I could explore interests and passions without feeling pressured to prove anything. This change meant I could pursue projects, hobbies, and personal growth paths purely because they resonated with me. Whether it was learning a new skill, dedicating time to creative pursuits, or working towards long-term career goals, each step was for me, not for the applause or acknowledgement of others. Setting goals without needing outside validation has transformed the journey itself. Each milestone feels more rewarding, and I'm able to appreciate the process rather than just the outcome. This shift has been incredibly empowering. I've built a life that reflects my own values, free from the need for external approval. Step 9. Improving mental health through self-acceptance. When I let go of the constant need for others' approval, I noticed a significant improvement in my mental health. Self-acceptance became the cornerstone of my emotional well-being. Prioritizing my own values and not bending to the pressure of external expectations created a new sense of peace within me. I stopped trying to please everyone and instead began focusing on my own needs, which led to a calmer and more centered life. As I shifted my focus inward, I noticed a powerful shift in my mindset. Without depending on others for validation, I started to build resilience. Challenges no longer felt as overwhelming because I had learned to trust myself and my abilities. I didn't need approval to feel worthy. I was already enough as I was. This sense of confidence allowed me to take risks and embrace new opportunities with a clearer mind, free from the fear of judgment. Self-acceptance also allowed me to develop a deeper connection with myself. I learned to honor my own boundaries, desires, and emotions. By living for my own values and priorities, I found a sense of purpose and mental clarity, improving my overall mental health. Trusting myself and embracing who I am became second nature, and with that, a newfound peace settled into my life. Step 10. Living for yourself. Why it's important. Living authentically means choosing yourself, even if it means standing alone at times. It's about embracing who you are, regardless of others' opinions, and prioritizing your own needs and desires. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or pushing people away, but rather recognizing the importance of self-love and personal freedom. When you live for yourself, you tap into a deeper level of satisfaction that comes from making choices based on your own values and goals, rather than external pressures. Choosing yourself allows you to set healthy boundaries and invest in what truly matters to you, whether it's pursuing your passions, building your career, or nurturing your relationships. It means no longer seeking validation from others, but instead cultivating self-confidence and trust in your own abilities. This shift in mindset empowers you to take control of your life and move forward with purpose and clarity. When you make the decision to live for yourself, you gain the freedom to grow, evolve, and be the best version of yourself. It's a journey of self. It's a journey of self-discovery that brings peace, fulfillment, and resilience. Living authentically doesn't just change how you see the world. It changes how you see yourself, and that's a powerful shift. Step 11. Finding a new perspective on relationships. When you come to the realization that nobody is truly obligated to care about you, it can completely shift how you approach relationships. Instead of seeking validation or approval from others, you start looking for connections that are rooted in genuine care and mutual respect. This perspective frees you from the pressure of trying to impress everyone, and it encourages you to form deeper, more meaningful relationships with those who truly align with your values. You become more selective about who you allow into your life. The need for constant affirmation fades away, and you begin to appreciate the quality of your relationships rather than their quantity. You no longer invest time and energy into superficial connections, but instead prioritize people who contribute positively to your personal growth and well-being. This shift doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means you're more intentional about the relationships you nurture. By focusing on authenticity and mutual respect, you build stronger bonds that are more fulfilling and enduring. In the end, you realize that the people who genuinely care for you are the ones worth investing in, and those are the relationships that bring true happiness and fulfillment. Step 12. Creating meaning in your own life. Realizing that no one else is responsible for my happiness was a turning point in my life. It taught me that the power to create meaning and fulfillment comes from within. Instead of waiting for external circumstances or other people to bring me joy, I started finding happiness in the small, meaningful moments of everyday life. Focusing on the present allowed me to appreciate things I once took for granted. The warmth of a morning coffee, a walk in nature, a quiet moment to reflect. These simple pleasures became the foundation of my happiness, reminding me that joy doesn't always have to come from grand achievements or external validation. By cultivating a mindset of gratitude and mindfulness, I found myself more attuned to the beauty in the world around me. I learned that meaning is not something to chase, it's something to create. Whether it's through my passions, relationships, or personal growth, I now take active steps to infuse purpose into everything I do. This shift in perspective allowed me to live more fully and authentically, with a sense of contentment that doesn't rely on others. True happiness comes from embracing life's simple moments and realizing that the power to create meaning is in your hands. Conclusion. Embracing the freedom of being unnoticed can be transformative. Recognizing that nobody truly cares about us allows us to live authentically, focusing on our own growth and happiness without the weight of social expectations. This realization doesn't make us selfish. Rather, it empowers us to live fully, Valuing ourselves first and foremost